Hello, and welcome to this week's episode of the Joe Yoga Life Diaries. So, next week is Children's Mental Health Week. Now, usually this is one of my busiest weeks of the year. As a children's yoga teacher, I get called in to do lots of one-off things and lots of lovely mindfulness and meditation classes with many amazing, gorgeous children. But of course, this year's a little bit different because there are so many less children in school. It is a bit busier. I am going in for an extra day to one of my schools to provide extra mindfulness and to make sure more children get taught. And we're also trying to stream them to get them home as well, so that the children who are learning from home are still receiving their yoga and mindfulness classes next week. But I thought what we'd do this week in this episode is I'd give you some tips and some pointers just to help with things at home and just keeping the mental health of your child good in this time. But I'm going to focus it towards teens because I have a teenager myself, and they are the ones who are more likely to go under the radar at the moment because of the very nature of a teenager wanting to be alone and not wanting to be with their parents. And let's just talk a little bit more about that. So the natural progression as a human grows from a child to being more independent, i.e. the teen years, into the adults, so the late teens, is that they are breaking away from the home and the parental influence. So up to the age of 11, that is when all of the time, we're teaching them, well, up to the age of 7, you're teaching them like right from wrong and the ways of the world, etc. Then from 7 to 11 is when they're really starting to work out who they are, and they really start to push boundaries. And even though they know right from wrong, they'll just see what they can get away with. And then you come into the post-11 years when they are really starting to find their tribe and find everything that is away from the parental influence. So with that being said, they are more likely to want to burrow themselves into their bedrooms at the moment when they can't go out. They are more likely to be very insular and not communicate with their parents, and not because they don't want to, but it's just because it's very difficult while their brain is going through an incredible amount of rewiring. Certainly between the ages of sort of 11 and 14 to 15, there's a huge amount of work going on in the brain where it's really changing. And that's why many teenagers can't make eye contact or don't know how to communicate their feelings. There's a lot going on there. It's not just the grumpy teen. This is what they are going through. This is nothing, we were all teenagers. We've been through it too. So we know what it was like. So I'm really going to focus this towards the teenagers and how you can help, if you've got a teen, just to keep track on their mental health in this situation. And I saw a very interesting meme recently, which was, children are not falling behind at school. They are dealing with a pandemic. And that is so true. And we have to remember that. They're not falling behind at school. This is a time that none of us could ever have imagined. We are parents dealing with a pandemic. We're not failing at parents. We're parents who are dealing with a pandemic at the moment, just as they are children who are dealing with a pandemic. So there is no bar to be met at the moment because it is a completely different situation. And it's really about survival at the moment, isn't it? Not about grades. It's about surviving. And being, if surviving means being together and communicating, or it means taking yourself away and having some alone time, that's what's needed. So let's move into I feel I'm being very, very professional this week. I think it's because it's such a serious topic and it's such a fundamental topic to me, and I spend every day of my working life, as much as I work with incredible, amazing women, I'm also, working in constant contact with schools and pupils and trying to keep the morale going and mental health at the forefront of people's awareness, and beyond education. I don't really see why, personally, putting my neck on the line here, why maths is so important over mental health at the moment. Really? No. mental health is more important than a maths equation right now. Algebra is not going to help a child when they're having an anxiety fit. So for me at the moment, it needs to be about mindfulness. It needs to be about yoga. It needs to be about learning about themselves. And that's what I'm here for. Anyway, I'm here to share that. And let me do that with a smile on my face, because I went very serious again then. So the first and foremost thing with you and your teen is communication, which I know can be difficult, especially when your teen shuts down and pulls away. So here's the key. Communication is not all about talking. Communication is an awareness that you have over your child. So it is noticing how they are from day to day, noticing how you are from day to day as well. And if that means journaling and making notes, then do so. Noticing any change in behavior or change in mood, remembering that changes in moods are perfectly normal as well. So if your teen has a bit of a down day, don't worry. That doesn't mean they're on a mental health spiral down. It just means they're a teen. If it becomes a constant thing and you're noticing constant big changes, and you feel you're really losing any kind of communication, then it might be time to start to address the situation. So what I mean here more is, you can have it's good to have something that you do every day, such as we always have our evening meal together. We tend to have breakfast and dinner at different times of the day, but our evening meal is a time when we will always sit around the table. It might be quick, it might be a quick dash meal, but we will do it. And that is the time when it's like, what have you learned at school today? How was school today? How are you today? And this is the time when you can be aware of any changes that might be happening. So maybe the communication doesn't flow as well as it used to, or maybe your child isn't sharing as much. Remember, teens don't share a lot anyway, so don't worry if you're not knowing much, but they do keep their lives quite private. So if your teen is normally a chatty teen and suddenly is not, or maybe they normally talk about somebody and they're not talking about them, just little changes. You as a parent, just be aware of that. And having that marker, having that evening meal to always go to, gives you that constant communication. So it might only be for half an hour a day, but you do have that. With younger children, I would certainly suggest an open door policy, not so much with teenagers, because they do need their own space. They do need their privacy. And certainly I know my son, when he's in lessons, he doesn't want to be disturbed, and the door is closed and he's having his lesson. But there is a constant kind of check-in, and obviously he does come out of his bedroom to eat and to get drinks, and there's always that little quick moments check-in. You okay? Think good? Yep. So communication isn't always about talking. It's about an awareness of how they are, and knowing that you are always there with an open heart, with a non-judgmental mind, because also if your teen does want to talk about something, they don't want to then be ridiculed or made to feel silly or stupid, okay? Always, any kind of communication from your teen is met with an open heart, an open mind, okay? In that sense, I'd also like to make you aware that their needs are different from ours. Your teen's needs are very different from yours. So try not to judge them by your own experience, because any kind of worry or any kind of fear is justified. Any kind of anxiety they're feeling is absolutely 100% justified, and it deserves to be met with a kind listening ear. And then if they want your advice, you can offer your advice. So if they want your opinion, you can offer your opinion. But the moment that your child comes to you with a worry or a concern, and you respond with oh, don't be silly, darling, or, well, that's not going to happen, is it? You're closing the door straight away. Yep, you are shutting any opportunity of your child coming to you later in the future, because nobody in this world wants to ever feel like they're being stupid or being silly. Nobody. So don't ever make your child feel like that. If they come to you, have the open heart that you have the open mind. And even if to you it does seem an unreasonable worry, fine, but don't tell them that. Listen to them and share your advice and your opinions with them in a loving and honest way, and respecting the fact that their needs are different, their worries are different. They are a different human being to you, and they are going through a very different teenage time than we did. So that's on the communication basis of keeping it open. It doesn't always have to be about talking. Most of it's going to be about listening, keeping your ear out for listening to conversations that you can hear them going on, because I know, we listen out to see if my son's okay when he's on his games or he's in school and stuff. You can listen out. So a good ear will keep that communication open, knowing that their needs are different to yours. Another thing is, teenagers are finding their tribe. This is at the time in their life where they are finding their tribe away from the parents. They're not able to really do that at the moment. I know when I was a teen, I was never at home. I would finish school and I'd be straight off to a friend's house. And if I couldn't go out for whatever reason, I was on the phone to them for hours. All of my connection was with outside of the family home. And that was, I had a perfectly lovely family home, but that's how teenagers are. That's how they should be as they find where they need to be in the world and they're moving into adulthood. And they can't do that at the moment. And my son is a real little home bunny, and he loves to be at home. He loves schooling from home. He loves to be at home. But even he's turned around to me a couple of times. He's like, I really need to see my friends. And I was like, I know. Because it is now at that point where they just need to see their friends and they can't at the moment. And I know they can't. But what we can do is encourage connections from home. Either via Zoom or FaceTime, or to be honest, most of the teens have found a way to connect constantly, I know. But also, they're very sensible with their social distancing. Having been at school for a few months, I noticed that they are really pretty smart with it. And give them the opportunity. We're allowed to go out once a day for exercise. And if that means them going out without you, and possibly meeting one friend and sticking within the rules, then give them that opportunity to do that. Let them be with their friends and have that contact. And you've just got to trust. We have to trust that they are doing the right thing. And so, this is me saying, let your teen out to meet one friend. They know the rules. They know the seriousness of it because they have been at school. And so giving them the opportunity to go out without you, give them space, let them, or even go out alone. So they've got some time out in nature, which is always great for mental health. If they're feeling a little bit cabin fever, let them go out for a wander on their own. A good diet, obviously, good sleep, the usual kind of keep healthy tips, a good routine as well, which is good while they've got homeschooling as well, because it does keep them in that routine, that constant contact with their teachers. Very good for their mental health. So routine is very, very important. Keep that routine going, keep movement going. So whether they go out once a day or whether they have paper rounds or whether they just go out for a bike ride with you or something. Keep some movement, or they can do movement in their bedroom, even if it's dancing around. Try and encourage something. Encourage some movement. And of course, it's good for you to model. If they see you doing it, always a better way. And the final thing when we're discussing children's mental health is a massive amount of respect. Respect for them and what they are going through. Respect for them as a human being, as a person. And if we all respected each other, the world would be a much, much, much better place. It's not about putting our opinions on anybody else or telling anybody else how they should be dealing with this, because nobody is right here. And equally, nobody is wrong here. So a lot of respect. So let me just go through those again. Communication. Probably, I think I could summarize this as open communication, space and honesty, and respect. Okay, so open communication, space and honesty, and respect. And that will really help keep an eye on your child's mental health. If you've got any questions or concerns or anything, and you want to extend this conversation further, then by all means, please do get in touch with me at realjoyoga.com. I do specialize in children's mental health and help with mindfulness and yoga in schools. So please do get in touch if you want to take this conversation further. Thank you so much for listening, and I will see you all next week. Thank you so much for listening today. If anything resonated or you feel inspired to, please share, as that is how we spread the healing. To learn more about me, my teachings, or any of the Joe Yoga programs, go to www.joeyogauk.co.uk, and I'll see you next time. Bye.